Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Wild Women of Song, great gal composers of the jazz era. My name is Pamela Rose. Welcome to Wild Women Wednesdays. Every week we love to feature a different woman songwriter, a composer who really kind of move the needle ahead in terms of jazz and blues. And today I thought it'd be great fun to invite my good friend, Wendy DeWitt, who is one of the acknowledged queens of Boogie Woogie piano. She's an incredible pianist, to talk a little bit about some of the women in that particular genre. So, hi, Wendy. Welcome to Wild Women.
Thank you, Pamela. Very nice to be here today, and I look forward to sharing information about some of the great women Boogie Woogie players.
So tell us a little bit about how you actually had the torch passed to you in a direct line. Tell us about that experience.
Well, the original queen of the boogie was Hadda Brooks. She was a player that came to prominence in Los Angeles, South Central LA's vibrant music scene of the 40s, and I had an opportunity to play with Hadda in San Diego a few years back, one of her last concerts, and we all had such a good time playing together that Hadda passed on the torch to Sue Plummer and myself, said, "You girls are my girls. You just keep playing that boogie woogie."
And they do. You should see these ladies. So we know that overall, anyway, to be a woman pianist, you have to sort of, it is a little bit of a boys' world out there, especially back then. But most particularly, I think about the left hand being such an important part of it. I know Lil Hardin talked about it when she first started playing, that she just, realized that what the women weren't doing and what she wanted to do was have a really strong left hand. And people said that her rhythm was phenomenal. And that was also true with Mary Lou Williams and Lovey Austin, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But now we move ahead to Boogie Woogie piano, which is so much left hand. Will you, in case people don't know what that style is, a little bit talk about that?
Yeah, well, Boogie Woogie is pretty much defined as left hand doing a continual pattern that's even rhythm, 8 to the bar. Sometimes it can have a little bit of a swing to it. Sometimes it's a real straight rhythm. And then the right hand plays off of that. It's highly syncopated, and the left hand drives the whole thing. It's originally a solo piano style, even though it has been adapted to Boogie Woogie, Bugle Boy Accompany, swing band. A lot of hits where other instruments were brought in, but it is, in its pure sense, a solo piano style. And because it is aggressive and powerful, it was not considered proper for women to play Boogie Woogie. So when Hadda Brooks hit, and she was one of the first, her first recordings were done in the front of a furniture store in Los Angeles.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she was discovered as a young woman, yeah. And people were just blown away because girls didn't play like that. And there's still some lingering sense of that in the older players, like in Europe. I've run into that personally, where my first time I played over there, some of the guys were like, "Yeah, sure, you play Boogie Woogie." So we're in a position where we have to prove ourselves. I mean, not in a going over there with a sense that we have to prove ourselves, but the guys kind of don't get friendly until they see if you can play. The younger guys, that's not such an issue, but it's the older guys that there's some lingering thing there. So you can imagine what it was like for Hazel Scott, Mary Lou Williams, Hadda Brooks when they were getting started. And beautiful women dressed very nicely on stage, where they're playing this very aggressive music, and there's an element of society that's going, "Girls don't play Boogie Woogie."
And speaking of Hazel Scott, so you brought in this fantastic Decca collection. I think that this is where even though the Wild Women show talks mostly about popular songs, but when I do talk about Mary Lou Williams, even though you might not recognize her songs as something that a cabaret singer would perform, so many of her compositions and arrangements are so typical Mary Lou, or I should say uniquely Mary Lou Williams, that it really enters into a whole nother phase of composing. You can't imagine anybody else having come up with quite that sound than her. And that was definitely true of Hazel Scott. She was such an inventive and rich player, and it wasn't just her piano playing, because you realize, as all great jazz artists do, she is spontaneously composing and improvising in a very unique style.
And that's an interesting thing about Boogie Woogie. A lot of sheet music is out on Boogie Woogie pieces, and people will learn it, and a lot of classical people will learn a Boogie Woogie piece that's written out. They can pick that up. But in actuality, at the live performances, Boogie Woogie is different every time. It is jazz. It's highly improvisational. There's themes. There may be a couple of choruses of a set melody that the first few choruses are always the same or close to the same, but the intros, they may vary every time. The body in between is always improvisational. And that allows the performers to continue to grow, to continue to explore, to incorporate new elements of things they've been listening to.
So did you start out being trained classically?
No. I had very little training when I was a kid. But the way I got into playing Boogie Woogie was from a family friend, and this illustrates the importance of kids being turned on to live music. When I was 10, my dad's friend came to the house and played my piano all the time.
Oh, wow.
And it just looked like so much fun. I wanted to do that too.
And it was boogie style?
Yeah, it was actually Western swing, is what the kind of songs he played, but his mom had taught him Boogie Woogie. And as it turns out, there's a lot of women who played Boogie Woogie, because they're in their 70s and 80s now. A lot of people's moms played Boogie Woogie. I hear this over and over at gigs. They didn't play out publicly so much because women didn't do that.